On a dark night, the waning moon hung high, looking strange when passing clouds revealed its light. The long-shut wooden door opened with a creak as an officer-like man in gray walked in and respectfully handed a sealed file to the other man sitting in the dark.
Lieutenant General, sorry. No trace of evil can be found in his genes.
The man in the dark opened the file and took a look.
Confirmed?
The man in gray nodded.
Yes.
The man in the dark frowned and waved to him. The man in gray gave a salute and walked out, shutting the door behind him. Once again, all was serene, with only the bright and cold moonlight shining upon the ground. Gavin had a dream that he was rolled by a whirlwind high up into the sky and tossed down. The feeling of gravity loss woke him up in a panic. He got up and scooted to his mother's room, holding his little pillow to his chest. He found her room locked, and he seemed to hear a conversation inside. The door was too thick to allow the voices to pass through clearly, even though he put his ear to it. But he could tell it was his father. Dad was back. Gavin was so happy because his mother said Dad would take him on the airplane ride in the amusement park. He knocked on the door, only to find that the voices faded and vanished. Then he heard footsteps coming as the door was opened from the inside. He tried to steady his leaning body, but still bumped into a pair of legs. He raised his head, smiled with surprise, and shouted up at the man. No response. He heard his mom's voice.
Dear, why did you wake up?
The stern man put him aside and left without a word. Mom held him close, patted his back, and sent him to his room.
Mom, why does Dad have to leave so soon?
Hearing the question, Gavin's mother Wardia shivered and gently kissed Gavin's forehead.
Because Dad is busy. He will play with you when he finishes his work.
Gavin thought for a few seconds and nodded in earnest. But when? Sitting on the stairs and watching Mom's back in the first floor lobby, Gavin couldn't help wondering. Gavin always waited with his mother and succumbed to drowsiness, waking up the next morning only to find that he was already in his small bed. He kicked the quilt away and rushed to his mother.
Mom, did Dad get back last night?
Mom crouched down and looked him in the eye with no answer, smiling.
Gavin, you'll be a big brother later. You should eat your breakfast alone from now on.
Gavin tilted his head, seemingly befuddled. He couldn't remember how long it had been since the last time he saw his father, but his mother still cooked for 3. He was confused and told his mother not to waste food. His mother always praised him for his suggestion and said,
But I must prepare Dad's share.
Why?
Dad works hard, and he will be happy to see the food is ready when he comes back.
His mother explained, patiently. Gradually, the word Dad became strange to Gavin, and the word proved even more difficult when he learned to write. He always scratched it out in frustration. Wardia was confused about the black mess on his homework page. He lowered his head and said nothing. After scrutinizing the black traces of hard-used pencils, Wardia seemed to understand. She patted Gavin's head softly.
It's okay. I'll teach you.
Soon, Gavin saw his father again. He seemed to have also met what his mother called his younger brother, wrapped in a tiny quilt and lying next to her. Standing by the bed, he could see the strange little baby in the quilt. The baby was peacefully asleep with a frown, and was seemingly coated in thin lightning flashes all over his body. Gavin was pushed back by the man across from him before he was able to say hi to the little baby. The man's cold voice said,
Don't touch him.
After growing 10 centimeters higher, Gavin was no longer the kid who would ask why. A cold look always on his small face, he took the hand of his young brother, who just learned to walk, and frightened away a few adults who wanted to get close to the two lovely boys. His mother had to apologize, and said he was not in the mood. And indeed, he had not been in the mood recently. He didn't want to go to school. In addition to his little brother, there was an annoying girl who was clinging to him all the time. His mother just smiled.
Because she likes you. That's why she wants to play with you.
His brother nodded, though he didn't understand. Gavin curled his lips.
But I don't like her. I don't want to play with her.
Why not?
She's too annoying and noisy. Always taking my stuff and scribbling in my book. She always wants to play house. I don't like it.
His mother laughed.
Then what kind of friend do you want to play with?
Gavin had no answer. There was seemingly no one that he liked in the class. They were all too bothersome and emotional. He shook his head honestly before something occurred to him.
Someone like my brother. I want someone like my brother.
He repeated the answer for confirmation. His mother started to touch his head softly.
Then you should get along all the time.
Gavin nodded sincerely. His little brother looked up at him with his tilted head as if he somehow understood. Perhaps because he promised his mother, or because he really did love his brother. After that, Gavin would think of his little brother first when there was something to eat or to play with. Gavin, who frowned before other chatty kids, had fathomless patience for his brother's endless whys. To his little brother who grew up following his footsteps, Gavin was more like a best friend, someone to rely on. Gavin always kept to himself and stayed away from trouble until that happened. A group of kids were cheering when Gavin returned to the sandpit. He pushed them away as his little brother looked up at him with his tearful face.
Brother, am I really awesome?
Lowering his head, Gavin saw his brother's disheveled clothes and tiny bloodstains on his face, lightning dancing around his fingers. He put down his brother's hand. And the boy beside him was twitching, face bruised.
Monster! Beat him! Right, he's a monster. We don't play with monsters. Go! Yeah, a monster! Haha!
Gavin lunged at the tall boy who was shouting the loudest and knocked him down with a heavy punch. The mocking stopped abruptly. Gavin sat on the boy and held his fist high.
Shut up!
Vortia's mind went blank as she picked up the phone and hurried to the hospital. She entered the ward and saw Gavin lying unconscious on the bed with a bruised face, and his little brother sat by his side with adhesive bandages on his face as well. A sharp pain came to her heart. She lowered herself, gentle enough to hold back her tears, and touched Gavin in his little brother's face.
Does it hurt?
Gavin's little brother shook his head. At that moment, Dad walked in. He looked at Gavin, his face expressionless, and took the hand of his younger son in an attempt to walk out. Vortia grasped the man's hand.
Gavin is injured.
The man's voice was emotionless.
Let go.
Cordia would not listen. She clutched his hand tightly, her voice somewhere between a firm statement and begging.
He is your son.
The man removed her hands. Still no emotion in his tone.
I don't need a son. You know exactly what I need.
Gavin didn't know how long it had been before his father reappeared in the mansion. Nearly too long to remember he even had a father. Yet his father was back with the news that he would take his brother away. Gavin was utterly shocked, unable to speak a word. His mother approached the man and whispered.
Let's have a talk.
Gavin had no idea what they were talking about. He heard his father's vague voice.
It's useless. It can't become... I don't need this.
He hardly saw his father these past years, but he knew his father didn't like him and treated his brother differently. Although his father was also cold to his brother, Gavin knew his father was different when he looked at him. Rumor had it the reason his brother was taken away was that he possessed what Gavin did not. That also accounted for his father's indifference. But his father didn't take his brother on that day. He disappeared again for a long time.
I don't want to go with Dad.
Sitting next to Gavin, his brother was staring at the toy plane in Gavin's hands. That was the gift Gavin had spent days preparing for his brother's kindergarten graduation.
Brother, how about telling Dad I don't want to go?
Gavin looked at him and asked,
Why? Don't you always want to play with Dad?
But I like you more. You're way cooler.
His brother gave a sly smile.
And I'll protect you and Mother.
Gavin replied with contempt.
I don't need your protection.
His brother showed his unfledged biceps and began laughing.
Just wait and see. I'll protect you and Mom when I grow up.
Gavin installed the last wing and passed the plane to his brother.
Done.
Cool.
Holding the plane, his brother ran around the room. Gavin took out a new school bag.
A new semester will come, then you'll be a big boy.
Yes! Brother, how about going to school together?
Gavin smiled.
Good idea.
You promise?
I promise.
One day, Gavin went to school as usual. But his brother didn't receive him after he got back. There was no sign of his brother. At dinner, he asked his mother.
Mom? Where's my brother?
His mother didn't know how to answer him as her hand suspended in the air.
He left with Dad.
Before his mother finished, Gavin rushed to his brother's room, but no one was there. The school bag and the little plane were placed on the bed. Gavin walked to the plane, picked it up, and stared at it blankly. His mother knelt down to Gavin and touched the uncovered scars on his face. An unstoppable sense of sadness and failure took over her. Trying to hold back her tears, she said,
He loves you, but he's busy with too many things. He has his reasons.
She had no idea if she was trying to convince Gavin or herself. Gavin couldn't understand the reasons.
More important than our family?
His mother nodded.
He has a lot of families to protect.
Gavin recalled the day when his brother showed his flat biceps and promised to protect his family, a smile crawling up his innocent face. He embraced his mother and patted her back just like what she always did to him.
Mom, don't be sad. I'll protect you from now on.